aware of who he is. He is an accomplished libertarian candidate. And I call him a very successful candidate. He might not have won that race, but he has done amazing work at not just influencing change in the race he ran, in the state he was in, but he hasn't stopped. He's literally decided to take that message and put it on the road. So I'd like to welcome him up here to show you what he's about and what a successful campaign looks like.
This is a libertarian party, or we are the party of party. I appreciate you guys for having me. Let me pull up my notes here real quick. Awesome. Dude, I'm excited to see the Libertarian Party of Idaho growing and getting active. As she said, I am from out of state. I'm from Washington, so I'm a close cousin to you. Yeah, Pacific Northwesterners. Washington's fallen. It's fallen now. So be prepared for a wave of people moving this direction that haven't already moved this way. I just encourage you to be strong and unwavering in the what liberty principles that you have here in Idaho. I've heard nothing but great things about the liberty that Idahoans have. Is that how you say Idahoans? Idahoans. So I'm encouraged to see the party growing and getting more active. It's near and dear to my heart, specifically, because you guys are helping fight for my family, right? Whether you're in the same state as me or in the same city as me, you are fighting for my family. So I appreciate you being here, taking time out of your Saturday. I know there's parties, sports, beers to be had, things of that nature, and you're taking your time to be here because this matters to you. So thank you very much. I mean that sincerely. The why you're here is something that is very important to ponder on, to reflect on, to analyze, to challenge yourself even, and to really remember. It's very easy to, as you're involved in politics, to get burnt out or to get tired or just fed up and give up, right? Like many people in Washington are doing. And remembering why it's important that you're here, what it is that brought you to the liberty movement or has instilled those values in you that make it worthwhile to take time away from your families on a Saturday or Tuesday or whatever day of the week the city council meeting is extremely important. And I think one of the things as libertarians that we can do with new folks that are coming in is help them ponder on what that why is and reflect on what that why is, because it's going to keep people energized. It's going to keep them active. It's going to keep them encouraged when the boot of the government is pressing down on their necks, when it's easier to run, and when it's easier to shirk from responsibilities, when it's easier to remain silent. We have to remind people why this is important, right? Why our peaceful solutions will bring prosperity to every life that it touches truly. And really reflecting on that why, for me personally, is what helps me stay more positive in an otherwise kind of piss poor situation that many of us are seeing right now. And reflecting on that keeps me energized to show up and to do more and to fight harder. Because as the pressure comes, it's very easy to tap out. I teach jiu-jitsu as a hobby. I like to fight. I can't tell you how many times I've been choked out. We see that in government right now, in regulations. It's a learned habit to not give up, to be unwavering, to know that no matter what, you're going to survive one way or another. Even in the worst of times. Learning how to take losses, how to learn through those losses is what can make you more successful. How many people here have been involved in the Libertarian Party for a couple of years, right? We've all heard the reasons why libertarians can't win, right? I think we've all heard probably half dozen different reasons. Most of them are true. There's a lot of reasons why libertarians can't win. I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to say it or to give you the perfect winning recipe. I got my ass kicked. I ran for a statewide position in Washington. I did not win that election. I got the incumbent one with 60% of the vote. Okay. What I want to talk to you about today is measurable wins, what success might look like for you, and even identifying what that is in advance. Because when you do that, when you can start identifying what a little win might be in your community or in your personal life or in your business, your political activism, and you realize what those successes could be, that's how you can develop your action plans. You can define what your successes are so you can actually take the steps necessary to achieve those goals. You can act with intention to achieve those goals. Many of us are frustrated, think about getting involved, think about maybe running for office, and then you look and you see 2%, right? You see another libertarian get 1%, 2%, not winning. You're like, well, libertarians can't win. Why would I waste my time, right? This is a lost cause. While I didn't win my race, I want to assure you that running for office is extremely important. It brings value to the lives of our communities, our friends, and our family, to really provide solutions, education, empowerment, self-reliance, self-determination to your neighbors, to those people directly in your social circle. It can help free them from the bondage that is statism, that is trust in a failed system that's killed, maimed, and destroyed millions and millions of people all across this country. It's important to run for office as a libertarian, to say no more. To say no more to the Joe Bidens of the world. In my home state of Washington, the Jay Inslees of the world. I made a Freudian slip on Twitter yesterday. I actually said Jay Biden, and to me, they're one and the same. Clowns, jokers, right? People that are not to be respected, not to be trusted, are to be condemned as evil, authoritarian tyrants. There are people in your communities that believe this as well. There are people that believe this that aren't libertarians yet, but they see the pain and suffering, right? Whether it be in their life or the life of a family member or a friend, maybe somebody that went through the court system, right? Got divorced, went through child court systems, taxes, regulations, permitting on housing, just regulation, right? They're frustrated with government. Running as a libertarian unabashedly on our principles of freedom and self-ownership and property rights gives people the knowledge and empowerment that they are free, no matter what government says, no matter what is stolen from them by force. They are free. They will be free if they take it back. And when we run as libertarians and we provide solutions to their lives that reduce cost for them, that make things better, that help them think in a different way, they become more empowered. See, Republicans and Democrats, they get elected because they give free stuff to people, right? That's it. That's all they offer. We get to give you something. One of the first things, a voter wants to know as you're running for office is, what are you going to do to help my family, right? You're out shaking hands, you're running for office, or you're working a booth. The baseline question is, how are you going to make my life better? Well, we're not going to give them anything, right? We're as libertarians, we're not going to hand them something on a silver platter that they didn't earn, create, or was theirs at birth, right? We're not Bernie Sanders. We're not Trump. We're not moving money from left to right to one pocket or the other. But what we can do is we can empower them with knowledge on how free markets make their lives better, how liberty is the solution to all forms of violence, not just political violence, but social violence, cultural violence, domestic violence. right? All these different things are acts of violence on one another. So I want to encourage you to run for office. It's important. Whether or not you win or you lose the election, you can help people. And I'm completely off script now, so apparently I wasn't supposed to be on script. So I want to touch on a handful of things, and I want to answer questions. I usually like standing down there. I don't like talking at people. I think it's one of the reasons why I did well in my campaign is because I was a real human. I wasn't while I can wear a suit and tie. I don't know if you see my no step on snake tie. I can wear a suit and tie, but when I campaigned, I was an average Joe. To touch on one of Jen's points that, often the people you're running against were nobodies before they ran for office. I ran for state insurance commissioner in Washington. I don't know if that's an elected position in Idaho. I think there's 11 states where state insurance commissioner is elected. In Washington, that position is filled by somebody that's been in office for 40 years. The longest standing politician in the state of Washington. Do you guys know anybody, libertarian or otherwise, that likes career politicians? That's an issue you can run on. You have somebody that's been in office too long, whether you're a term limit guy or gal or not, nobody likes career politicians. Okay? Picking that race, right off the bat, there's an easy talking point that this person's been in control too long. And what has he done for you? Right? Because I'm running for state insurance commissioner, healthcare, car insurance, auto insurance, business insurance. How's your insurance these days? Nobody's happy. Okay? So we picked a topic that was easy to talk about to pretty much everybody. It affects them on a daily basis. It's a bill that they pay, right? It comes out of their paycheck or their automatic payments or whatever. It is a product that they have to either invest in or do business with on a frequent basis. Okay, so we took a topic that resonated with a lot of people. We attacked or picked a position that had a career politician in it. Nobody likes career politicians. Everybody's concerned about insurance. Okay. When I started analyzing the position, deciding if I wanted to run for it, if it was the right move for myself and my family, one of my first thoughts was, oh my God, I'm not qualified to run for a statewide elected office. I've never run for insurance, or I've never run for office before. Who am I? Right? I was a couple of years into my libertarianism at that point. And I started researching the corrupt career politician that I was considering trying to remove. And I found out that he never worked in insurance in a day in his freaking life. Not a day. He was an eye doctor, so he sure had some understanding of some medical issues and stuff. But he never worked in insurance. He was a 20-year politician before he got elected to the role he did, or put there, rather. I believe politicians are selected, not elected. He sat in that position for another 20 years. He is Joe Biden on steroids. He hasn't worked in 2 years. He doesn't do press releases. He can't. He doesn't do press conferences. He can't. His dementia's too bad. Legitimately. And I didn't talk about that during the campaign. I didn't want to punch him. Could have been my dad. Could have been my grandpa. Right? It's unfortunate what politics does to people and how these political parties use them. I think Robert mentioned, or Joe mentioned, how if you don't toe the line just right, they're not there to help you. The Republican Party's not there to help Republican voters. They're there to help the Republican Party. Same thing with the Democrat Party. They're not there to help people or the Democrat voters. They're there to help the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, specifically here in recent years, is using their politicians, and it's not right. So I didn't touch on that type of thing in my campaign. I did that by choice. It's a moral thing. He had a plethora of other things I could attack, right? So I didn't have to punch down at the things he can't help. His lagging mental deficiencies that he should retire and go home and spend time with his families. He's a Navy veteran. He should retire, go home, relax. You've done your job. You've served this country to the best of your ability, whether I agree with you or not. Go home, retire. You're sick. So we attacked the issues that matter to the people. We provided solutions to them to make their healthcare better, their insurance better. And in doing so, we were able to talk about basic libertarian principles, things like taxation is theft, right? Who here thinks taxation is theft? Please give me an amen. No, don't do that. All right, thank you. Yes, my son, my 6-year-old says taxation is theft in the back. Yeah, raise libertarians, you know, we need more of them. You know, I love the phrase taxation is theft. It invokes a response to people. It challenges people's narratives, challenges their comfort levels with what they know, what they've been taught. But as I talked about earlier, defining what success looks like, success in a campaign can be different than even success in a conversation. Defining what your goals are will help you figure out what your intention needs to be. And when you have good goals, good, you know, the right intentions, and I don't mean the right goals or intentions in a moral sense, but in the logistical sense, right? You literally know what your goals are. You know what your intention is for the day or the week or the month. When you do that, you can start achieving your goals. So when I would talk about things like taxation is theft, it wasn't to scare people with the idea or to turn them off. It was to challenge their way of thinking. And I would do that different ways with different people. I would do it different ways on different days to see what would work and what wouldn't work. And I can tell you all of it worked and all of it failed on different days for different reasons, because we're a diverse group of people. We have billions and billions of people on Earth. And while you can say something simply to one person and say it simply to somebody else, they could hear it 2 different ways. So again, I'm not here to tell you what to say or how to do it, but to encourage you to do it, whatever it is. And do it with a fervent heart for liberty, because you could literally change lives and save lives. When I ran for office in Washington in 2016, the guy that ran for state insurance commissioner had just under 100,000 votes. In 2020, in my election, we hit 324,000. This was in a contested 3-way race. The record for libertarian votes in a statewide election is over 1 million. John Mons ran for governor in Georgia, get over 1 million votes. It was in a 2-way race between a Republican and a libertarian. So he got, you know, the 35% Democrat vote and the libertarians that he pulled off. Awesome win. We need to identify heads-up races because you will have the ear of people that you wouldn't necessarily have the ear before. Had there been a Democrat in that race with John Mons, the Democrats might not have cared what he said as much. Okay, so identifying appropriate races will help you be more successful. What's appropriate for you might be less appropriate for me, or vice versa. So when I touched on the idea that I wasn't qualified to run for office, I determined that any clown can run for office, so it might as well be me. And I discovered that the incumbent insurance commissioner was in fact a clown and had no knowledge or professional experience in insurance. Me, myself, an insurance professional, my wife, an insurance professional with a decade of experience, a licensed professional, abolish insurance licensing and all other government licensing. And I said that on my campaign. But as an experienced insurance professional, I knew what the issues were because I was talking to people about them every single day when they called to complain about their insurance. I was used to having conversations with people about these issues. So I picked a race that I could lean into my knowledge base, my skill set, even a passion to a point, because it lended credibility. One of the reasons why libertarians can't win is because we don't run credible campaigns. We have PACs like Liberty Works that want to help with that. I saw issues like that. It's like, okay, well, if people don't know you, they don't trust you, they don't like you, it's easy to not vote for you, rather, no matter what your political affiliation is. But when it's got an L or a D or an I independent next to it, it makes it even more likely that they're not going to vote for you. So how do I attack that? I can't make them think I'm credible. I would want to make them anyways. I'm a libertarian. But what I did was I leaned into what I am credible at. Incredible? I am incredible. Sorry. That's for you, babe. You guys know what I mean. But I leaned into a topic that I know. I would encourage you to run for office and talk about what you know, even if it's that single issue, because you know it, you know the problems, you know the truth, and you can be honest about it. And people will trust that. People trusted me because I knew insurance. I knew how to save them $20 on their car insurance. I knew how to actually look at their legal policy declarations, and instead of just being like, Obamacare for all, or I hate Obamacare, I could be like, well, actually, let's talk about how we can reduce your healthcare costs so that you don't need insurance in the first place, right? I was able to lean into a topic that I was knowledgeable about and then provide direct solutions that would make their lives better. We can do that as libertarians. Now, depending on the race, it might not be as single topic as others. Some of the best advice I got, and also the worst advice I got, was the idea of, as you're running a campaign, run on 3 issues, right? And to research what those issues are that are important to the community. Okay, that's great, right? You need to have a baseline. It's like, okay, here's the basic messaging, right? This is what's going on in this county or that city, right? They're worried about, in Seattle, they're worried about Jeff Bezos and Trump still, even though Trump's out of office, and homelessness, right? So if you're running in Seattle, you're going to talk about those issues predominantly. Why that's bad advice is because it leaves you talking about what you want to talk about instead of just literally asking the voters, asking the person that you're talking to at a booth, what matters to them. When you're involved in a sales environment, they're usually coming to you because they want a product, a solution for an issue that they're having. Nobody is stopping to talk to a political person for any other reason than they hope you can make their life better. So ask them, what's wrong in their life? What's stressing them? What's frustrating them? And then empathize with it. That, man, that governor, man, he's really getting under my skin too. Did you hear what he did last week? Right? Build camaraderie with them. Show them that you are one of them. Identify with them on those issues. Even if it's somebody that is coming, that the issue you have in common, but their solution, right off the bat is not the solution you're going to do. You can still empathize with them, that they feel pain and suffering. Show people that you care about them, and our libertarian principles are the only ones that actually care, because they're the only ones that care enough not to stick the boot of government on people's necks. Running for office is important. It's a platform to share these ideas that is harder to come by otherwise. Sure, you can talk to your friends and your family, and that's where we should start. Start with our own immediate social circles, the people that already know us, like us, and trust us. Try to convert them. But if you're just Joe Blow, Jill Blow on the street corner, sometimes it's easy to walk past the crazy guy with the sign or the bullhorn, right? I think we've all done it. But for whatever reason, for right or wrong, when you run as a candidate, people think you can have power. Now, we want to throw that ring of power into the fire. I'm quoting Adam Kokesh there. Thanks, Adam. We don't want that power. But what it is an opportunity to explain to them how they already have the power, that they are the power. I'm going to quote Spike Cohen now. Good other great libertarians, people that have inspired me to do what I'm doing. When you can meet people where they're at, listen to them, provide basic, easy solutions. None of this stuff we talk about is complex. right? Freedom's not complex. Liberty's not complex. It's just that the legalistic nature of this country has created complex themes and issues when we know that if you just leave people alone, most of this stuff will work itself out. And, for things like the roads, you could, have people that are already paying for the roads pay for the roads and just, take out the middleman, the government, right? So our ideas are not complex. When I talk about taxation as theft as an insurance commissioner, and I would ask somebody, I say, did you know that they tax your hospital beds? Did you know that they tax the wheelchair that your friend had to use after their car accident? Did you know that doctors are paying 30% income tax? That the reasons why we have a shortage on hospital beds isn't because of COVID, but because the government restricts, with the help of the hospitals, restrict the supply of hospital beds. I was talking about the stuff that is directly being talked about now because of COVID. I was talking about that stuff for 2 years in my campaign before COVID happened. So when COVID happened, I was able to say, hey guys, those things I've been talking to you about, how they're saying there's a shortage on hospital beds. If we had let more hospitals open up, if you had elected hospital commissioners that sit on, that are CEOs at hospitals, you might have more hospitals now. When we talk about free trade and free market capitalism, and people are like, well, that's scary. And then I tried to import masks at the start of COVID to give masks to medical professionals and first responders with other libertarians in Washington, and Customs steals those masks from us. I have a direct story and accountability to say, look, I've been talking to you about free markets and free trade for years and years now, and look how government's stopping me from helping you. Government, the people that you elect, and even at times you, have created these problems that exist over your life. And we as libertarians, with the solutions that we have, can unveil the truth to them. It's not about beating them over the head and saying, if you don't like liberty, you must be a tyrant. And while some of them hate liberty and are tyrants, some of them just haven't been taught otherwise. And that is our job, and it's our blessing, and it's our opportunity as candidates to go around and to do that and to help them. I firmly believe that of the people that I talked to, I got easily 90% of the votes of the people I talked to. Other people voted out of ignorance. In my state, I got 324, almost 325,000 votes in a three-way race. They voted for a kid with mental health issues and an adult with mental health issues because they had the right letter next to their name. I say that as kindly as I can. Even the Republican that I was running against, we know his family is not healthy. Again, I didn't punch on him. I didn't need to. I went into one debate with him, and the Republicans voted for me. Okay? When we get out in public, we do booths, we do outreach, we do street fairs, we have coffee shop meetings. We get off the internet, and while internet and social media is a great tool and a great resource, when we have one-on-one conversations, you will win people. And that just takes time, it takes more energy, and it takes more work. That's why what I'm doing now is taking this message nationally. I'm traveling from Washington to Florida, helping teach libertarian candidates how to get endorsements, how to raise money, and how to run more successful campaigns, to identify what that success looks like, so that we can bring more people in, we can change their lives. I'm happy to answer specific questions. Again, I had a whole bunch of notes. I got into like none of those here, so forgive me. I can answer questions about how to get endorsements, how to raise money. I've got 30 plus endorsements, major media, Republican parties endorsing libertarians. I've raised $120,000 in my time as an activist, and I was a nobody. I was just an average guy, pissed off about Obamacare and medical freedom. And then I started seeing how it was going to get worse and how it was going to attack my family. And I drew a line in the sand and I said, no more. I take that to the absolute core of my heart, to the physical being of myself. I do not care what they say. I will not comply. And I'm going to shout that from the mountains. I'm going to help as many other people be bold and shout it from the mountains as well and help. And I want to help encourage you and give you the tools necessary to do that on a local level. So thank you guys for being here and listening. I'm happy to take any questions.
Where are you going next?
Next, so we are going to the Montana State Convention in a couple of days, which is actually not that far from you guys in Kalispell. Thanks. I actually had a note about that. Working together as libertarians is key. I know we don't always get along or agree, and that's fine. There's plenty of people I don't like or get along with. I can still work with most of them, right? We got to put some of that aside and just get to work. The Montana State Convention is next weekend on the 17th in Kalispell. It's a couple hours drive away. If you can make the weekend, go out there, celebrate them. We are doing these tour stops. We hosted a medical freedom rally a couple of days ago in the Tri-Cities. Medical freedom is my one main issue. We're hosting more across the country and doing these training sessions. And we do it all for free. I quit my job a few years back. I walked away from a good career in insurance, knowing that eventually that job would be stolen from me anyways. So I might as well start fighting now. And I donate my time. We raise money through t-shirts and stickers my wife sells to literally put gas in the tank to drive our tiny house across the country and to put food on the table. So we crowdsource things in a voluntary way. Who's here has heard of the libertarian tip card idea? Okay, so there is IRS regulations, and we should abolish the IRS immediately. But while they exist, there's regulations that say you can actually give money to people as a gift without it having to be reported to the IRS. So if you tip your wait staff in cash, you say this isn't a tip, this is a gift, they legally don't have to report it. It's not it's not them dodging taxes. The IRS can't catch them and arrest them, although they might try because they're tyrants. It's a legal loophole. So that's what I'm doing. I don't have a business license. In my mind, I'm essentially a consultant at this point. I teach and train libertarian candidates, but I don't do it with a business license, and I don't do it fee for service. Any money that I get is given as a gift. Any help I give is me just helping people. It means I don't have to invite the government into my life. It doesn't mean I have to follow their rules. And we can apply those same principles in a lot of different industries. And it's one of the ways we can start working outside the system as the boot gets tighter and tighter on our neck. Joe, you had a question?
Questions?
What do you think is probably one of the top questions you should ask yourself before you run? As you're kind of thinking about what that race is, what is the right role for me? What are those things that you think the person should be tackling first?
Does your family support you? Don't let politics divide at least the people in your household. Sometimes you can't help what happens outside, right? There's going to be family lost at times over this, but I couldn't do this without the support of my spouse. Literally, she helps me on a daily basis, but she's also my sounding board. She's my check, right? She's that person I can trust to tell me the truth, and that I can be 100% truthful with 100% of the time, so that I know when I'm failing and when I'm faltering, so that I don't turn into what we hate. So having your family behind you, whether it's blood family, married family, or just your best homie, right? The guy that has been there, your ride or die, like I have him too, right? He's not a party member. He won't actually sign up as a party member. I just can't get him, damn it. LJ, if you're watching this, sign up to be a libertarian. But you have to have people like that in your life, and you need to be able to look in the mirror as well and be like, you're failing. You're not doing what you said you're going to do, or you're backtracking on your principles. And so that accountability partners is key. Next off, just on the broader picture is just, I think, being knowledgeable about a broad set of topics. Don't run for office just for the sake of running for office. I could have ran for port commissioner in Edmonds. I could have door knocked myself to the win. Now, that doesn't mean don't run for local winnable elections. but don't just run for the sake of running because that's what we hate, right? I didn't care about court commissioner. I could have forced myself to care, right? I picked something that I cared about. I cared about health insurance. I had a story that was personal to me. Obamacare cost me, my family, my insurance. They fined us for years. I paid thousands of dollars in medical insurance fines for not having insurance. So it was important. So have something you're knowledgeable about. You have maybe some expertise in, and have your family support.
So some of the things that we work with these days, we're out in the public, we're working with Democrats, we're working with Republicans, we're working with young kids, especially in college. They start looking at things like the cost of education, the cost of their housing, the fact that they're losing a third of their income every day they go to work. Yeah. How do you go about doing the research so that you can actually discuss the libertarian solutions to the government created problems for a number of these individuals?
Even as an insurance agent, I don't know everything about insurance, right? So I would constantly come across things that I just hadn't heard of yet, right? Even as a 10-year professional licensed, I didn't have 30, 40 years under my belt. So I think it starts with just asking questions, just like many of us did to come to liberty. The more questions you ask, the more issues you can arise, the more things you can uncover, the more rabbit holes you go down. So, and at that same time, on the other end of that, don't be afraid to tell somebody, it's like, I haven't considered that yet, or you're the first person that's brought that to me yet. Is there a group that you represent, right? Or is this an issue that you've come across with others, right? Empathize with them and explain to them that you don't know these things, and then use their knowledge, learn from it, glean from it everything you can. Go to their meetings. I didn't know that there's a group in Washington, and I'm going to butcher it here. What's the name of it? Don't punish my pain management. Forgive me. But it's a group of people that have chronic illness. They're having trouble getting to their medications. We touch on that a lot as libertarians when it comes to medical marijuana, but that's not the only window that is hurting people in. I had no idea because it hasn't affected me. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't met people, showed up to events, asked questions, let them tell me what they've learned. I oftentimes will ask them to send me articles, say, hey, send me a video I should watch about this, or a podcast, right? It lets me use the work that other folks have done to educate me, and when you get elected, you're going to have to do that, right? There's going to be, sadly, 300-400 bills every single year. You're not going to be able to read them all, which is none of the politicians do. We should expose that. That'd be another thing I'd say. There's a lot of non-policy type stuff that we as libertarians can expose, just the way things work, that people, you empower them. Like, most people don't know what a legislative session is. We do because we're nerds. We're into this. Most people don't know what a legislative session is, and we're taught what that is. Like, they know there's government. They know that they pass laws and that money pays for bills because they watch, Schoolhouse Rock, but they don't know the inner workings of stuff, right? So the more that we can expose, right, like ranked choice voting. I was endorsed by Fair Vote Washington. I said, hey, what if there was things like no political parties listed on any ballots, just like there isn't on your city council race, right? What if we did that for president? What if, right? What if you could vote for more than one person? So maybe you liked Hillary but hated Trump. You could have voted for, Jill Stein is number 2 and Gary is number 3, and then Trump is number 200, right? When we educate people, when we empower them, when we show genuine interest in what's important to them, we learn from them, we create a culture of liberty, right? And yeah, I think it will just empower us as individuals and so forth.
Yeah, aren't you selling yourself a little short? You were endorsed by who in Washington for Fair Vote?
I was endorsed by Fair Vote along with a whole bunch of.
Who at Fair Vote? Chris Novosek.
Chris Novosek did not endorse me.
But he's the Yeah.
Yes, so drummer for Nirvana,
Yeah.
right? He lives in Seattle, outside of Seattle, actually on an island. Pretty cool guy. He flies planes. He endorsed Gary Johnson. Came out and gave a speech for Gary Johnson in Seattle. So that celebrity hit there was kind of cool. But he's part of Ranked Choice, the Ranked Choice movement in Washington and stuff. So one of his organizations definitely came out and helped me. Sorry, I forgot about that. I tried to get Chris to endorse me. He doesn't take very many. You have to be Gary Johnson level apparently to get him to take your call. I tried though. And I can even touch on that. I mean, I don't know how much time you have. Okay, cool. That's it. No more. I can't teach you anything more. But what you can do is you go to roadtoliberty.com. I do not like Facebook. I do not like Twitter. They're going to kick me off eventually anyways. So I've created my own platform, theroadtoliberty.com. It is one part, hey, here's Anthony's blog. One part, buy my stuff, t-shirts and stuff that are back there. And one part, the travel aspect that we're doing. But the main reason behind this platform is it's group features to talk with other libertarians off of Facebook and Twitter. So there's a forum for candidates. If you have run for office, are thinking about running for office, or maybe you want to help somebody running for office, there's a group for that, to share ideas, to share resources, to raise your hand and say, hey, I will help with this. Does anybody need help? There's groups in there for your county affiliates. If you're, an LP member, but there's no county chapter active in your neighborhood, right? And you want to get a group going, right? There's a chat group for that, so that we can share these ideas on a more personal basis that isn't getting censored. First off, this is not a public-facing channel. It's all internal. This is just us to share our resources, to talk to one another, to help empower this movement. Because in closing, the reason I'm doing this, why I'm dedicating my life to this, is because I want exponential growth. I'm not okay with incrementalism. Too many people are dying. Simply put, people are dying right now. And what truly made me libertarian was when I really began to the core of my core understanding that all of those individual lives matter. Every single person that's caged, every single cent that's stolen from people, every single liberty that is being removed, infringed on, and coerced away from people matters. So I'm dedicating my life to fight for liberty. I'd love for you to join me. There is no one road to get there. There's no one path to get there. But it absolutely is going to take each of us paving the road and doing it ourselves. So thank you.
So, thank you, Anthony. I did want to leave you guys on kind of a final note and thought on the day. And that's, I don't need to remind you. We live in a society where it's red versus blue. And the tension and the discourse or lack of discourse is apparent in our everyday lives. And so, especially with everything going on right now, we're seeing a lot of cognitive dissonance. The people who are red or blue, they're not ready to break that cycle and to engage in the middle. And that's the important part of why libertarian needs to progress, because we are that middle ground. Sometimes we might look a little ugly to the outside because we don't agree. And we don't hide it behind mahogany walls when we don't agree. We put it out there in the front street. I'm not right, or I'm not sure about the answer. I come to you guys and I throw it out there because I want us to actually have that conversation. I want it to get a little ugly because that's the only way we're going to explore solutions. And we need to be able to invite the red and the blue to that conversation. And so I want to make sure that if you are out there, you are promoting liberty, you're doing it with the best foot forward, and you're remembering that not everyone's ready for liberty. We need to just give them permission to have that conversation first. And that's a lot of what I'm going to encourage you to do. And so you might be asking, what's next? First step, join the party. If you're not already a member, send us your $20. It's really the most important thing you can do because it sends a signal to everyone in the state that that's what you're putting your money behind. That's what you're supporting. I also, step 2 is be a proud libertarian. You want to put a sticker in the back of your car and let everyone know you're a libertarian. Wear that hat, wear that shirt. Maybe you don't want your license plate to say libertarian, but put a porcupine, because that's one of those back. And I was that guy flying the George Jorgensen and Gary Johnson flags down the roads of Idaho. And yeah, it might have upset people, but I got more honks and waves and thank yous and people finding me on Facebook. You're that person I saw on the road. Thank you. I see those stickers on the road. You know, it might have a Washington license plate, but they say libertarian. I'm not afraid to honk. We're not afraid to stop at a light and give them my business card and say, hey, we're in this together. And so be a proud libertarian. The last step, give me a call. Maybe you're not sure what that third step really means to you or where you fit in. Maybe it is running for office. Maybe it's joining a committee within the party. You know, you're not quite ready to throw your name publicly, but you can help us, you know, run an event. You can help our bylaws committee deciding the rules. You can help us get ready for the convention. There's a lot within the party we can do, and we can need help. You know, internally, your ideas are what influence the party. It's the people at the core that really do get to decide when a press release gets out and what it says. So if you want to see that move forward and move faster, join us. There's a couple other things I wanted to mention that's coming up. First of all, make sure you sign that petition in the back with Jackie. If you haven't, do that. And then she can also get you in touch if you want to get signatures in your own community, get you trained up on what that means. And I'll remind you that the national convention is next April. Sorry. Thank you. So the national convention is in Reno, which is a quick drive for us. And the party is looking into like probably renting a bus because there's enough of us interested in going. And it is close enough that we can drive that price down and use the free market to organic to get us all there. If you're interested in going, please make it happen because it's a great way to engage with other libertarians to find out what's happening and to influence things at that national level. Idaho's only allowed so many delegates to vote on that, and so the sooner you get involved, the more likely you will be that delegate to help with the national level. So give me a call. I'll tell you what that process means, and then we can get involved. Our convention is in April next year, just before that national one, and that's where we're going to elect the delegates. And so that's another great event to look forward to because that's where we are going to be kicking off a lot of those candidates, making sure that names get out there, filling those volunteer spots, and having a lot more great speakers. A couple of them who couldn't be here today do plan on being at that event there. And the last note, for those of you who are local, there's quite a few organizations mounting a rally, we'll call it, because Biden will be in town on Monday. And so you can kind of pick and choose your issue there. Maybe it's the mandates, maybe it's the war, maybe it's the deficit. He's kind of given us a whole menu to choose from of reasons why we might want to be out there. And so I won't endorse any one of those groups that are organizing this, but I will let you know they are out there and they're not hard to find. So, you know, go to Facebook or do give me a call, say, hey, this is my issue. How do I find somebody who supports that? And I'm not shy to send you to another group or party and let you know what I think about them. Maybe I do endorse them, maybe I don't, but I'll at least let you know they exist so you can go learn more. And then, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much for coming out. All our speakers are still in the room. So I'm going to kind of give this last minute to open it up for questions. So if you have a question for any one of the speakers, they're all here. Go ahead and let me know, and then we can get them on stage.
Any questions for the chair or for any of the speakers?
Okay, seeing none, we're not quite out of it yet, so feel free to take your time, talk with some like-minded people or find me at the table. I know on the libertarian side of the back table, you have some buttons and stickers that are free. And make sure you talk with Jackie and Anthony about their swag. All right, thank you.